Hello everyone. Welcome back to God's Word Daily Channel. Today, I invite you to listen to Story 8. The Call of Abraham. First, please share, like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you everyone. In the ancient land of Ur, under a sky painted with endless stars, a man named Abraham lived a life rooted in family, tradition, and the rhythms of his people. Abraham was known for his wisdom and integrity, but deep within his heart, he sensed a stirring, a calling that reached beyond the ordinary patterns of life. Though he prospered in his city, tending to his household and the affairs of his kin, he often gazed at the heavens and wondered about the greater plan that might be waiting for him. One quiet evening, as the desert wind whispered through the palm groves and the sun dipped behind the distant hills, Abraham knelt outside his tent. The golden light of dusk painted the land in hues of fire and shadow. And in this sacred stillness, he heard the voice of God, not loud or forceful, but gentle, clear, and profound, reaching directly into the depths of his heart. Abraham, the voice spoke, leave your country, your family, and all that you know. Go to a land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation, and through you, all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Abraham's heart trembled. The command was extraordinary, calling him away from everything familiar, his home, his community, the city of Ur, and leading him into the unknown. Yet within him rose a deep trust, a sense that this was the moment he had been preparing for all his life. Faith, courage, and obedience intertwined in his soul. He shared the message with his wife, Sarah, whose eyes mirrored a mixture of fear and hope. Together, they began to prepare for a journey unlike any other, a journey guided by divine promise rather than human planning. They gathered supplies, entrusted their household, and set their hearts upon the road ahead, knowing that their footsteps were directed by God Himself. As Abraham left Ur, the land stretched before him like an unwritten story, full of challenges, wonders, and opportunities. The journey was not only a passage through physical landscapes but also a profound spiritual voyage. Every step he took was an act of trust, a surrender to God's will, a testament to the belief that obedience and faithfulness would lead to blessings beyond comprehension. Along the way, Abraham's faith was tested. He faced uncertainties about where to settle, encountered foreign peoples, and had to make choices that demanded courage and discernment. Yet with each challenge, he clung to the promise that had called him forth, letting it guide his decisions and sustain his spirit. The land ahead, mysterious and vast, became a canvas on which the story of God's covenant would unfold, a covenant of faith, obedience, and divine guidance that would shape not only Abraham's life but the destiny of generations to come. Through deserts and valleys, through moments of doubt and wonder, Abraham's journey had begun. The calling of God was not merely an invitation to travel, but a summons to transformation, to leave behind the familiar, to embrace trust over certainty, and to walk with God into a future filled with promise, purpose, and hope. Abraham's journey began under the soft glow of dawn, his tent and familiar city left behind, with Sarah by his side and their household in tow. He stepped onto the road guided solely by God's command. The path stretched across deserts, rivers, and mountains, each step a test of faith. The sun scorched the day and the cold pierced the nights, yet Abraham's heart was steadfast, fueled by the promise that he had been called to a greater purpose. As they traveled, Abraham encountered lands full of strangers, some welcoming, others suspicious. He met rulers and merchants, shepherds and farmers, each interaction a lesson in humility and diplomacy. Abraham did not rely solely on his strength or wisdom but continually sought God's guidance. He prayed for direction when the road forked, and when danger loomed, he trusted that God would protect him and his family. At one point, Abraham and his caravan approached a fertile valley, teeming with resources but also inhabited by local tribes. The temptation to settle was strong. The land promised security and abundance. Yet Abraham remembered the voice that had called him to journey, to trust not in the comforts of the present but in the unseen land God had promised. He chose to continue, teaching those around him the importance of faith and obedience, even when the reward was not yet visible. Along the way, Abraham faced moments of profound internal struggle. Nights under the stars became times of contemplation. He questioned his own understanding, wondering if he had heard correctly, if leaving Ur had been the right choice. Sarah, ever supportive, reassured him, reminding Abraham of the divine promise. God has spoken. He has chosen us to be part of something greater. We must trust, even when we cannot see the road ahead. The journey tested not only faith but character. Abraham encountered hunger, thirst, and illness among his people. Decisions about where to camp, how to provide, and whom to trust weighed heavily on him. Yet in each trial, Abraham's faith deepened. He learned to rely not on human planning but on divine wisdom. Discovering that obedience, even when costly, bore fruit beyond immediate understanding. As the caravan approached the land that God had promised, Abraham experienced a vision, a spiritual encounter under the evening sky. The heavens seemed to open, and God spoke once more. Abraham, look to the stars, just as they cannot be counted, so shall your descendants multiply. You shall be the father of many nations, and through you, all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Trust in me, for this covenant is eternal. Tears filled Abraham's eyes. He fell to his knees, overwhelmed by awe and gratitude. The journey had been long and arduous, but the trials had prepared his heart to receive God's promise fully. It was a moment of both culmination and beginning, the fulfillment of a calling that would resonate for generations. As Abraham and Sarah entered the promised land, they found it rich and inviting, yet they also understood the weight of responsibility. It was a land of new beginnings, a canvas for building a life rooted in faith, justice, and obedience. Abraham's steps were guided not by fear, but by a deep trust in God's plan. The lessons of the journey, the need for perseverance, humility, courage, and unwavering faith, had shaped him into a man ready to fulfill his destiny. The climax of Abraham's journey was not marked by conquest or grandeur, but by obedience and trust. Each challenge, each decision, and each moment of doubt had led him closer to understanding the depth of God's promise. The path he walked, though difficult and uncertain, became a living testament to the power of faith, the reward of obedience, and the blessings that arise when humanity aligns its heart with divine will. From this journey, Abraham learned that true greatness is not measured by wealth, power, or fame, but by trust in God, courage to follow the call, and the willingness to leave the familiar for a purpose higher than oneself. His journey became an eternal story, a guide for all who seek to walk in faith, to answer the call of God, and to embrace the unknown with courage and hope. Abraham's journey to the promised land did not end with simple arrival. It marked the beginning of a life devoted to faith, obedience, and divine purpose. Though he left behind the comforts of the familiar faces of his family and the certainty of home, Abraham gained something far greater, a deep, enduring relationship with God, and a role in a divine plan that would shape the destiny of generations. Every hardship, every moment of uncertainty, became a lesson in trust and perseverance. The story of Abraham teaches the importance of listening to the call of God. Even when it challenges comfort and certainty, Abraham's obedience required courage, the courage to leave behind all he knew, to step into the unknown, and to follow a promise that could not yet be seen. His journey reminds us that faith is not passive, it is active, requiring action, decision, and sometimes sacrifice. To truly follow God's guidance, one must be willing to let go of personal security and embrace the unknown with trust and hope. Another key lesson is the value of perseverance through trials. The road Abraham walked was not easy. He faced deserts, hunger, uncertainty, and the responsibility of leading his family. Yet with each challenge, his trust in God deepened. This teaches that challenges are not obstacles to faith, but opportunities to strengthen it. Perseverance, guided by trust, allows one to grow spiritually, emotionally, and morally. The story also highlights the power of promise and covenant. God's words to Abraham were not empty, they carried eternal significance. The promise of descendants, a land, and blessings for all nations demonstrates that divine plans unfold over time, often beyond immediate understanding. Abraham's patience and faith in God's promise teach us the importance of trusting in a plan greater than ourselves. Finally, Abraham's journey illustrates that true greatness comes from obedience and faith, not from worldly status or wealth. His legacy was not built on material achievements, but on his willingness to follow God's call, to act in faith, and to live according to divine guidance. Through Abraham, we see that faith, courage, and trust in God create a foundation for enduring blessings and a life of purpose. In essence, the call of Abraham is a timeless reminder that listening, trusting, and obeying God's guidance can transform lives, shape destinies, and bring blessings far beyond what the human mind can imagine. Faith, courage, and obedience remain the pillars of a life aligned with divine purpose. Next video, I invite you to listen to story.
Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe to the channel to watch the next video.